How to win every argument. Introduction. In a world where communication is key, the ability to craft a compelling argument is a superpower. Whether in the boardroom, a courtroom, or even a casual debate with friends, knowing how to win an argument can shape outcomes, influence decisions, and elevate your credibility. This audiobook is your guide to mastering the art of argumentation, drawing from the principles outlined in How to Win Every Argument. Arguments are not just about proving a point or besting an opponent. They are about clarity, persuasion, and critical thinking. When done correctly, they can enhance discussions, sharpen logic, and even improve relationships. However, when done poorly, they can lead to misunderstanding, frustration, and unnecessary conflict. The key lies in understanding the structure of arguments, recognizing common fallacies, and employing strategic techniques to make your case effectively. Throughout history, great leaders, thinkers, and debaters have wielded the power of argumentation to sway public opinion and effect change. From the Socratic method to modern-day rhetoric, the ability to argue convincingly is a crucial skill in every aspect of life. Whether you are negotiating a raise, debating politics, or simply trying to prove a point, the ability to construct and deconstruct arguments gives you an edge. This audiobook will break down the key lessons from How to Win Every Argument, presenting them in a structured and practical way. You will learn the fundamentals of argumentation and why logic matters, common fallacies that weaken arguments, and how to spot them, persuasion techniques that make your arguments more compelling, the psychology behind influence, and how to use it to your advantage, how to handle difficult opponents and diffuse conflicts effectively. By the end of this audiobook, you will have a toolbox of strategies to navigate debates, counter flawed reasoning, and express your ideas with confidence. Each chapter will focus on a crucial aspect of argumentation, ensuring that you not only understand the principles but also know how to apply them in real-life situations. Now, hit the subscribe button and let's dive into the first chapter, where we explore the foundations of argumentation and why mastering this skill is essential for success. Chapter 1. The Power of Persuasion. Persuasion is a powerful tool that shapes our interactions, decisions, and even society as a whole. It is the foundation of influence, leadership, negotiation, and everyday communication. But what exactly separates persuasion from manipulation? And how can we effectively shape people's thinking through sound reasoning and psychological principles? Understanding persuasion versus manipulation. At its core, persuasion is about convincing others to see your point of view or take a specific action. It relies on logical reasoning, emotional appeal, and credibility. On the other hand, manipulation distorts facts, uses deception, and exploits emotions to achieve a goal, often at the expense of others. The key difference between the two lies in intent and honesty. Ethical persuasion seeks a win-win outcome where both parties benefit. Manipulation, however, prioritizes one's self-interest, often by misleading or coercing others. To truly master argumentation, it is crucial to build trust and credibility, ensuring that persuasion remains ethical and respectful. How to shape people's thinking through reasoning. To effectively shape people's thoughts, one must appeal to logic, emotion, and credibility, the three pillars of Aristotle's rhetorical triangle. 1. Logos, logical appeal. Use clear, well-structured arguments supported by facts, evidence, and sound reasoning. A strong argument follows a logical sequence, making it easier for others to understand and accept. 2. Pathos, emotional appeal. People are driven by emotions. By connecting with your audience on a personal level, through storytelling, relatable experiences, or powerful examples, you can make your argument more compelling. 3. Ethos, credibility and trust. The most persuasive arguments come from individuals who are seen as knowledgeable, reliable, and ethical. Establishing credibility through expertise, honesty, and consistency strengthens your influence. Psychological principles behind persuasive arguments. Persuasion is not just about making logical points, it also involves understanding human psychology. Here are some key psychological principles that enhance persuasive communication. 1. Reciprocity. People feel inclined to return favors. If you give value, people are more likely to agree with you or help you in return. 2. Social proof. When people see others adopting a belief or behavior, they are more likely to follow suit. This is why testimonials, case studies, and group endorsements are persuasive. 3. Authority. People tend to trust experts and authoritative figures. Citing credible sources or demonstrating expertise enhances persuasiveness. 4. Scarcity. The fear of missing out, FOMO, drives people to act. Highlighting limited opportunities or exclusive information can increase the urgency to agree or comply. 5. Consistency and commitment. People strive for consistency in their beliefs and actions. Once someone commits to an idea, they are more likely to support related arguments. Applying persuasion in daily life. Understanding and using persuasion effectively can improve relationships, negotiations, and leadership skills. Whether persuading a friend, closing a business deal, or debating a controversial issue, mastering these techniques allows you to communicate with impact and confidence. Persuasion is an art and a science. By applying these principles ethically and strategically, you can win arguments while building trust and fostering meaningful connections. Chapter 2: The Art of Logical Thinking. Mastering the art of logical thinking is essential to winning arguments and forming sound conclusions. Logic is the foundation upon which every strong argument is built. Without it, persuasion crumbles, and debates devolve into baseless assertions. In this chapter, we will explore how logic functions as the backbone of argumentation, dissect the structure of a well-built argument, and uncover the common logical fallacies that weaken one's position. How logic forms the foundation of every strong argument. At its core, logic is the system of reasoning that allows us to distinguish between valid and invalid arguments. It ensures that our conclusions are supported by evidence, and that our reasoning remains consistent. A well-constructed argument follows logical principles, making it difficult to refute. Without logic, arguments become emotionally driven rather than fact-based, leading to confusion rather than persuasion. Logic in argumentation is often categorized into two primary types. Deductive reasoning. This involves drawing specific conclusions from general premises. For example, Premise 1: all humans are mortal. Premise 2: Socrates is a human. Conclusion: therefore Socrates is mortal. Deductive reasoning is powerful because if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. Inductive reasoning. This involves drawing general conclusions based on specific observations. For example, observation: every swan I have seen is white. Conclusion: all swans are white, until evidence proves otherwise. Inductive reasoning is useful in everyday decision-making, though it is inherently less certain than deduction. Both deductive and inductive reasoning help strengthen arguments and ensure they are rooted in logical principles rather than personal bias or faulty assumptions. The structure of a well-built argument. A strong argument follows a clear structure that consists of three key components. 1. Claim, the central assertion or position being argued. 2. Evidence, the supporting facts, data, or reasoning that reinforce the claim. 3. Warrant, the logical connection between the claim and the evidence, explaining why the evidence supports the claim. For instance, consider the following argument. Claim: regular exercise improves mental health. Evidence: studies show that physical activity reduces stress hormones and increases endorphins. Warrant: since stress reduction and higher endorphins are linked to improved mental health, exercise contributes positively to mental well-being. Understanding this structure ensures that arguments are coherent, logical, and difficult to refute. How to spot logical flaws in your opponent's reasoning. Identifying logical fallacies is crucial for dismantling weak arguments. Here are some of the most common ones to watch for. Straw man fallacy: misrepresenting an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. Example: Person A: we should have stricter environmental regulations. Person B: Person A wants to shut down all factories and destroy the economy. The real argument is about regulation, not economic collapse. Ad hominem: attacking the person making the argument rather than addressing the argument itself. Example: You're wrong about climate change because you're not a scientist. Credentials matter, but the argument should be judged on its merits, not the person delivering it. False dilemma. Presenting only two options when more exist. Example. You're either with us or against us. This ignores potential middle ground positions. Circular reasoning, when the conclusion is included in the premise. Example. I'm right because I say so. There is no external evidence provided. Appeal to emotion, using emotions instead of facts to win an argument. Example. If you care about your family, you'll buy this product. Emotional appeals can be persuasive, but they should not replace logical reasoning. By recognizing these flaws, you can challenge weak arguments effectively and strengthen your own positions. The ability to think logically is a powerful tool in argumentation. By understanding how logic forms the foundation of strong arguments, adhering to a structured approach, and identifying logical fallacies, you can improve your persuasion skills significantly. Logical reasoning allows you to dismantle weak arguments, defend your own views effectively, and navigate debates with confidence. In the next chapter, we will delve deeper into rhetorical strategies that can enhance your ability to persuade and win debates. Chapter 3: Recognizing and Defeating Fallacies. In the world of argumentation, fallacies are deceptive mistakes in reasoning that weaken an argument. They often sound convincing but crumble under scrutiny. If you can recognize fallacies, you can dismantle weak arguments and strengthen your own. In this chapter, we will explore some of the most common logical fallacies, how they are used in everyday life, and strategies to counter them effectively. The most common logical fallacies. 1. Straw man fallacy. This occurs when someone misrepresents an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. Instead of addressing the actual argument, they distort it and refute the weaker version. Example. Person A. We should have stricter regulations on pollution. Person B. My opponent wants to shut down all factories and destroy jobs. Counter. No, my argument is for stricter regulations, not shutting down industries. Let's focus on the real issue. 2. Ad hominem. This fallacy attacks the person instead of their argument. Instead of refuting the point, the speaker discredits the individual. Example. You can't trust his argument about climate change, he's not even a scientist. Counter. Even if I'm not a scientist, my argument is based on expert research. Let's discuss the facts. 3. False dilemma, black and white fallacy. This assumes only two options exist when there may be more. Example. You're either with us or against us. Counter. I may not fully agree with you, but that doesn't mean I'm against you. There are other perspectives to consider. 4. Appeal to emotion. Rather than using logic, this fallacy manipulates emotions to persuade. Example. If you care about your family's future, you'll buy this product. Counter. Caring about my family doesn't mean I have to purchase this. Let's look at the product's actual benefits. 5. Slippery slope. This assumes that one small action will lead to extreme consequences without evidence. Example. If we allow students to use calculators, soon they won't know how to do basic math. Counter. Using calculators can enhance learning when used properly. Let's discuss the evidence. 6. Circular reasoning. This fallacy occurs when the conclusion is simply restated in different words as proof. Example. He is a great leader because he leads well. Counter. That statement doesn't provide any evidence. What specific leadership qualities make him great? Examples in politics, media, and everyday debates. Fallacies are commonly used in political debates, media, and personal arguments to mislead people or reinforce biases. For instance, politicians often employ straw man arguments to misrepresent their opponents. Advertisers use appeals to emotion to influence consumer decisions. Recognizing these tactics will help you become a more critical thinker. Techniques for countering faulty logic. 1. Ask for evidence. If an argument seems flawed, ask for proof. Most weak arguments fall apart when challenged with facts. 2. Define terms clearly. Many fallacies rely on vague definitions. Asking for clarification forces precision. 3. Point out contradictions. If someone contradicts themselves, highlight the inconsistency. 4. Stay calm and logical. Emotional responses can make it harder to counter fallacies effectively. A calm, reasoned approach is more persuasive. Mastering the skill of identifying and dismantling fallacies will give you a significant advantage in any debate. By recognizing these logical traps, you will become a more effective communicator and critical thinker. Chapter 4: Rhetoric and the Power of Language. Rhetoric is the art of persuasive communication. It has been used for centuries by politicians, lawyers, and influential figures to shape opinions and drive action. To win arguments, understanding rhetoric and the power of language is crucial. The right words, delivered in the right way, can inspire agreement, while poorly chosen words can undermine even the strongest arguments. In this chapter, we'll explore how rhetoric shapes persuasion, the impact of word choice on perception, and how to craft arguments that appeal to both logic and emotion. The role of rhetoric in winning arguments. Rhetoric is not just about what you say but how you say it. Aristotle, the father of rhetoric, identified three primary modes of persuasion: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos, credibility. Establishing yourself as a credible and trustworthy speaker increases the chances of persuading your audience. This can be achieved through expertise, confidence, and integrity. Pathos, emotion. Appealing to emotions can be a powerful way to connect with your audience. A well-timed story, a powerful anecdote, or a passionate delivery can sway opinions. Logos, logic. A logical argument backed by facts, evidence, and sound reasoning is essential for persuasion. People are more likely to agree with you if they see a rational foundation for your claims. Mastering rhetoric means balancing these three elements to create a compelling and persuasive argument. How word choice influences perception. Words are not just tools for communication, they shape how people perceive information. The same idea can be framed in multiple ways to evoke different reactions. Consider the following examples. Framing an argument positively, saying, "Investing in this program will create opportunities for thousands," is more effective than, "Without this program, thousands will suffer." Using power words, words like unstoppable, groundbreaking, and revolutionary create excitement and confidence. Avoiding weak language, phrases like "I think maybe," or "possibly," weaken an argument. Instead, use definitive language such as, "This is the best course of action because." Understanding how language affects perception allows you to frame arguments in a way that makes them more persuasive and impactful. Crafting arguments that appeal to emotions and logic. A strong argument balances both logic and emotion. While logical reasoning provides the foundation, emotional appeal makes the argument more relatable and compelling. Here are key techniques to achieve this balance. 1. Tell a story. Personal stories or real-life examples make arguments more engaging. If debating a policy, sharing a story about someone affected by it creates an emotional connection. 2. Use analogies and metaphors. Comparing complex ideas to familiar concepts makes arguments easier to understand and more persuasive. Arguing without facts is like building a house without a foundation. 3. Invoke common values. Tying arguments to universally accepted values, such as fairness, freedom, or security, increases their persuasive power. 4. Leverage repetition. Repeating key phrases or themes reinforces the message and makes it more memorable. This technique is often used in political speeches. Mastering rhetoric and the power of language allows you to construct compelling arguments that influence and persuade. By strategically using ethos, pathos, and logos, carefully selecting words to shape perception, and balancing logic with emotion, you can make your arguments more effective. Chapter 5: Mastering the Art of Debate. Debating is more than just presenting a good argument. It is about structuring your points, controlling the flow of discussion, and maintaining composure under pressure. A well-executed debate can influence opinions, shift perspectives, and establish credibility. In this chapter, we will break down the essential components of a powerful debate, providing you with strategies to strengthen your performance in any argumentative setting. The structure of an effective debate. A debate follows a structured format to ensure clarity and logical progression. The most effective debaters adhere to a set structure that allows their points to be communicated effectively. The basic framework includes 1. Opening statement, the introduction to your argument, setting the stage for your position. 2. Presentation of evidence, using facts, logic, and examples to support your claim. 3. Rebuttal, addressing and dismantling opposing arguments. 4. Closing argument, summarizing key points and reinforcing your stance with final persuasive remarks. A strong debater knows how to navigate each section smoothly, ensuring that their argument remains clear and compelling throughout the discussion. Controlling the flow of discussion. Controlling the direction of a debate is crucial to maintaining the upper hand. The following strategies can help you steer the conversation in your favor. Ask leading questions. Guide your opponent into making statements that you can counter effectively. Redirect weak arguments. If your opponent brings up a weak or irrelevant point, refocus the debate on your key arguments. Use strategic pauses. Well-placed pauses can emphasize key points and make your argument more impactful. Maintain a strong presence. Your tone, posture, and confidence influence how persuasive your arguments appear. By directing the conversation strategically, you can prevent opponents from controlling the narrative and keep the focus on your strongest arguments. Staying calm and collected under pressure. A successful debater remains composed even in the face of intense opposition. Here are some key techniques to help maintain your composure. Anticipate counterarguments. Before entering a debate, consider potential rebuttals and prepare responses in advance. Control your emotions. Avoid reacting emotionally. Instead, respond with measured and logical arguments. Use silence to your advantage. A brief pause before responding can demonstrate confidence and thoughtfulness. Keep the focus on facts. When the debate becomes personal or emotional, bring the discussion back to logic and evidence. Mastering these techniques will help you remain poised and in control, even in high-pressure debates. By structuring your arguments effectively, directing the flow of discussion, and staying composed under pressure, you will significantly increase your chances of winning any argument. Chapter 6: Psychological Tricks for Winning Arguments. Winning an argument is not just about presenting facts and logic, it's also about psychology. Understanding how people think, react, and process information can give you an edge in any debate. In this chapter, we will explore powerful psychological tricks that can help you gain the upper hand in arguments. 1. How to get inside your opponent's head. One of the most effective ways to win an argument is to anticipate your opponent's thoughts and responses. If you can predict their objections, you can prepare strong counterarguments in advance. Here are some strategies to get inside your opponent's head. Listen actively, pay attention to the words, tone, and emotions of your opponent. People often reveal their weaknesses when they speak passionately about a topic. Identify their biases. Everyone has personal biases that shape their opinions. If you can pinpoint their biases, you can tailor your argument to challenge or reinforce their beliefs. Use their own words against them. If your opponent contradicts themselves, highlight the inconsistency. This can cause them to lose credibility in the discussion. Ask leading questions. Instead of making direct statements, ask questions that force your opponent to justify their stance. This can make them realize flaws in their own argument. 2. The power of confidence and assertiveness. Confidence is one of the most overlooked aspects of winning arguments. People naturally gravitate towards those who speak with certainty. Here's how you can project confidence. Speak slowly and clearly. Fast talking can make you seem nervous or unsure of yourself. Speaking at a steady pace conveys authority. Maintain eye contact. Looking directly at your opponent shows dominance and conviction. Control your body language. Avoid fidgeting, slouching, or crossing your arms. Instead, stand or sit up straight and use open gestures. Never over-apologize. Saying sorry too often or backtracking on your statements weakens your position. Use decisive language. Phrases like I believe or I think weaken your argument. Instead, use strong statements like this is the reality or the evidence shows. 3. subtle persuasion tactics that turn the tide in your favor. Sometimes, the best way to win an argument is to persuade rather than overpower. Here are some subtle persuasion techniques that can make your opponent more receptive to your viewpoint. Mirroring, subtly mimicking the gestures, tone, and words of your opponent can create a sense of connection and make them more likely to agree with you. The illusory truth effect. People tend to believe statements that they hear repeatedly. If you repeat your key points in different ways throughout the discussion, they will start to seem more credible. Framing the argument. The way you present an issue can influence how it is perceived. Instead of arguing against something, reframe it in a way that aligns with your opponent's values. The foot in the door technique. Start with small, agreeable points before introducing more controversial ones. Once your opponent agrees with you on something minor, they are more likely to accept bigger arguments later. Using social proof, referencing experts, studies, or popular opinions can make your argument more persuasive. Mastering the psychology of argumentation takes practice, but it can give you a massive advantage in any debate. By understanding your opponent's mindset, projecting confidence, and using subtle persuasion tactics, you can turn even the toughest discussions in your favor. Chapter 7. Dealing with difficult opponents. Handling aggressive debaters and know-it-alls. Some opponents won't play fair. They'll use aggression, intimidation, or an overwhelming flood of information to throw you off balance. Knowing how to handle such opponents can make all the difference in a debate. 1. Stay calm and collected. Aggressive debaters feed off emotional reactions. If they sense frustration, they will double down on their approach. Control your tone and body language. A calm demeanor disarms aggression. Use pauses strategically. When they rant, let them finish. This forces them to slow down, giving you control over the pacing. 2. Stick to the core argument. Know-it-alls often attempt to derail discussions by introducing excessive facts or tangential arguments. Politely redirect the conversation. That's an interesting point, but let's focus on the issue at hand. Use the broken record technique. Reiterate your main point calmly, no matter how many distractions they throw your way. How to respond to personal attacks. A weak debater will sometimes resort to ad hominem attacks, insulting you rather than addressing your argument. When this happens, 1. Don't take the bait. Personal attacks are meant to provoke an emotional response. Refuse to engage. Instead of retaliating, highlight their lack of substance. Let's focus on the argument rather than personal remarks. 2. Turn their attack against them. Use deflection. If attacking me personally is your strongest argument, I think that says a lot about your position. Ask questions. How does that comment address the actual point we're discussing? When to walk away and when to push forward. Not every argument is worth pursuing. Sometimes, the wisest move is to walk away. 1. Recognizing when to walk away. If the opponent refuses to engage in rational discussion. If they rely entirely on insults or misinformation. If the debate is no longer productive and is turning into a heated argument without resolution. 2. Knowing when to push forward. If your opponent is simply misinformed but willing to listen. If the audience can benefit from the debate, even if the opponent is unreasonable. If conceding would allow misinformation to spread unchallenged. Mastering these techniques ensures that difficult opponents never throw you off your game. Instead of getting frustrated, you'll stay in control, guiding the discussion with confidence and strategy. Chapter 8. The role of humor and wit in arguments. Humor is a powerful tool in any argument. When used correctly, it can disarm your opponent, win over an audience, and make your arguments more memorable. It can soften tense debates, making it easier for people to listen to your point of view rather than feeling attacked or defensive. However, humor must be used strategically, as it can also backfire if misunderstood or misapplied. Using humor to disarm opponents. One of the greatest strengths of humor in an argument is its ability to diffuse tension. In heated debates, people tend to become defensive or aggressive. A well-placed joke or light-hearted remark can ease the hostility, allowing both sides to engage in a more constructive dialogue. Consider the difference between these two responses in a debate about politics. 1. Aggressive approach. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. 2. Humorous approach. Wow, that opinion is as rare as a unicorn. I'd love to see where you found it. The second approach, while still challenging the opponent's stance, does so in a way that invites engagement rather than escalating hostility. Humor makes your argument less combative and more inviting, encouraging the other person to continue the conversation rather than shutting down. How wit can make your arguments more compelling. Wit, which is humor combined with intelligence, can make your arguments more persuasive. A witty response not only entertains but also demonstrates quick thinking and confidence. People are more likely to respect and follow someone who presents ideas in a sharp, engaging way rather than someone who merely argues facts without any personality. For instance, historical figures like Winston Churchill and Oscar Wilde were known for their razor-sharp wit, often turning arguments in their favor with just a single clever remark. A well-phrased comeback can highlight the flaws in an opponent's argument without needing an elaborate rebuttal. Example: opponent: I don't think your idea makes any sense. Witty response: well, that makes two of us. The difference is, I have evidence to back mine up. Such a response delivers a subtle challenge while keeping the mood light and engaging. The key is to be clever without being condescending. The risk of sarcasm and when to avoid it. While humor can enhance your arguments, sarcasm can be a double-edged sword. Sarcasm, which often involves irony or mockery, can make your opponent feel belittled rather than engaged. When used excessively or directed at the wrong audience, it can come across as arrogant or dismissive. For example, saying, "Oh sure, because that plan worked so well last time," might make your point, but it also risks shutting down meaningful discussion. Sarcasm is best reserved for informal debates where both parties understand and appreciate the humor. In serious discussions, it is safer to use humor that invites dialogue rather than alienates people. Balancing humor and seriousness. The most effective arguers know how to strike a balance between humor and seriousness. If you rely too much on jokes, you may not be taken seriously. If you avoid humor entirely, your argument may feel dry and unappealing. A blend of insightful logic with well-timed wit makes for a compelling argument that keeps people engaged while reinforcing your point. Key takeaways: humor can break tension and make arguments more engaging. Wit demonstrates intelligence and confidence, making arguments more persuasive. Sarcasm should be used with caution, as it can come across as arrogant or dismissive. Balancing humor with seriousness ensures your arguments remain both compelling and credible. By mastering the art of humor and wit in arguments, you can make your points more impactful while keeping discussions open and engaging. This skill is not just useful in debates but in everyday communication, helping you build rapport and influence others effectively. Chapter 9: Real-World Applications of Argumentation. In the crisp air of a Monday morning meeting, you sit across the boardroom table from a senior manager who opposes your new project proposal. You feel the heat of tension rise in the room as stakeholders await your response. This isn't a debate club, a courtroom, or a philosophical discussion over coffee. This is real life. And the outcome of this conversation might shape your next 6 months. That's the power of argumentation in the real world. Beyond theory and clever wordplay, it's the skill that gets your ideas heard, your value recognized, and your goals advanced. In this chapter, we bring all the principles we've discussed into real-world contexts: your job, your negotiations, and your relationships. Master argumentation here, and you master influence where it truly matters. Winning arguments in the workplace. The workplace is one of the most high-stakes environments for persuasive communication. But it's not about shouting the loudest or dominating with brute logic. Winning arguments at work means aligning others to your thinking without creating enemies. Let's say you're advocating for a new tool that will streamline team productivity. Your colleague thinks it's unnecessary. If you jump straight to proving them wrong, you risk alienating them. But if you frame your proposal in terms of shared benefits, increased team efficiency, better time management, more predictable results, you show that your position serves the collective good. The key lies in anticipating objections and gently disarming them before they surface. You can say, I know we've tried similar tools before and they didn't stick, but this platform integrates with our current systems and includes onboarding support. You're showing awareness, empathy, and foresight. That's persuasive power. Always structure your workplace arguments with clarity. State the issue, present your solution, back it with evidence, and wrap it in relevance to your listeners' goals. Keep your tone professional, never personal. Winning in the workplace is about building influence, not leaving bodies in your rhetorical wake. Negotiation strategies for business and life. Negotiation is argumentation in motion. Every deal, raise, or conflict resolution hinges on how well you can articulate your needs while addressing the needs of others. Consider a job offer negotiation. If you demand a higher salary because you deserve it, you might trigger defensiveness. But if you frame your request as a value exchange, you shift the energy. Based on the responsibilities and the industry average, a salary in the $80,000 range would reflect the value I'd bring and allow me to contribute at full capacity. You're logical, respectful, and confident. Successful negotiators use silence as a tool, questions as levers, and empathy as armor. They prepare in advance, know their walk-away point, and never let emotion hijack the process. In personal life, negotiation plays out in shared responsibilities, financial decisions, even dinner plans. It's about framing solutions as win-win and avoiding zero-sum traps. How about we go to your favorite restaurant this weekend, and next week we try that new Thai place I mentioned? It's subtle, balanced, and collaborative. Using argumentation to strengthen relationships. This may sound counterintuitive, but arguments can actually deepen trust, if handled correctly. Healthy argumentation in relationships is rooted in mutual respect. It's not about scoring points or proving superiority. It's about understanding each other more deeply. For example, if your partner wants to spend more time together, but you value your alone time, it's tempting to push back defensively. But a well-crafted argument starts with listening. Ask why it matters to them. Share your own feelings without blame. Then, shape a compromise. Arguments can reveal what truly matters to people. When done right, they create intimacy because both sides feel heard and validated. Use language that avoids ultimatums and accusatory phrasing. Replace "you always" with "I feel," and shift from confrontation to connection. In friendships and family relationships, gentle persuasion can diffuse tension. You can challenge someone's beliefs without attacking them. You can hold your ground without breaking the bond. From conference rooms to kitchen tables, argumentation is everywhere. It's not an abstract skill, but a life tool that, when sharpened, turns ordinary people into extraordinary influencers. Whether you're making a pitch at work, hashing out a decision with your spouse, or negotiating a better deal on your next car, the principles you've learned here are the bridge between silence and influence. Real-world arguments aren't won with volume. They're won with strategy, empathy, and elegance. And now, you're equipped with all three. Conclusion. Becoming a master persuader isn't about manipulation or winning at all costs. It's about adopting a mindset of curiosity, empathy, and confidence. A true persuader doesn't just speak to be heard. They listen to understand, adapt with intention, and connect with clarity. They approach every conversation as an opportunity, not just to win an argument, but to build bridges, influence outcomes, and inspire change. But mastery doesn't happen overnight. Like any skill, argumentation sharpens with practice. Read widely, question your assumptions, analyze great debates, and most importantly, seek feedback. Each conversation is a training ground. Each disagreement is a chance to refine your technique. Keep learning, keep experimenting, and stay open to growth. And now it's your turn. Apply these techniques in your daily life, whether you're negotiating with a client, discussing ideas with friends, or engaging in heated online debates. Let your words be powerful, your logic tight, and your presence unforgettable. If this audiobook helped level up your persuasion game, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more tools to sharpen your mind and voice. The art of argument is a lifelong journey. Let's walk it together.